Hello guys and welcome again. So let's continue with this example, and we're going to change this geometry into something that has destruction in it, so fracturing, sorry. So we're going to select I'm going to template this guy, and I'm going to create a box that is of the same length to that. Maybe make it a little bit bigger, and we're going to simply move this aside. And let's connect all of them. So we have multiple boxes. Okay, and I'm going to maybe let's not do that's fine. We're gonna connect this to a VDB from Polygon. We want to convert this guy to a volume, and we're gonna change it to Fog VDB. So we have that. And I'm gonna scatter some points, 100 to start with. I'm going to put down a Voronoi fracture, and then I'm going to connect this and this guy. Okay, and I'm going to check visualize pieces so we see them, and I'm going to copy this guy now. So we have that copied, and we're going to move that back and then deassemble, and let's take a look at the connect adjacent. So you see the network here is a little bit different. That's because of the way the pieces are placed, and basically the connect adjacent is trying to do its best to find the neighboring pieces and connect them. So that's all good, and we're gonna facet that, convert them into points. So we have the centroid. Sorry, we have the anchor point at the faces, so it gives us correct rotation. And then we're gonna give that the same name. Everything stays the same. Oh, this guy is not gonna work anymore because the point has changed now. And so let's try doing that again. So I'm gonna select these guys, and we're gonna put down attribute wrangle. Nothing selected. I'm going to do this the simpler way. I'm going to put down I'm going to select these primitives again and put down a blast. Yeah, for some reason the attribute wrangle doesn't create the correct grouping, so I'm going to change that, and then I'm going to set these guys to active 0. Let's hit play. Of course it's gonna be slower now, but I think it's fast, and they're falling, and you can see that they're bending and doing all these interesting movements. And so the other thing I want to do is I'm going to, if you select the RBD pack, there is these options here, and you can translate and rotate the object, but you can also give it some velocity. So I'm gonna give it -100 in Y, and this is angular velocity. This is gonna cause it to rotate, and I want to rotate it on the x-axis. And let's see what that does. Yep, expected. So let's try that, and let's hit play. Cool. So you can see the how it's breaking, fracturing, and then bending nicely and deciding based on the force when to break. Okay, cool. I hope you guys like this. And so now I think we're gonna move on to setting up the fracture for our scene. And so let me find. Yep. So this is the HIP file. This is the cathedral. Okay, and I've created groups for the various pieces of the geometry. And so the first one I want to isolate, because we don't want to work with all this, is the to destroy. And so that's our first group, and we want to delete primitives, and let's see the name of the group. To destroy, lowercase t. So we have that, and then we want to also get the other half just in case, and I'm gonna put down a null and call this static, and call this out static just in case, and then this is lowercase, and I'm gonna put down a null just in case as well. Out to destroy. Cool. So now we're going to start isolating piece by piece and fracturing it. And so the first one I'm going to fracture is a group that I called arch circle. And let's start with that. And this group is these guys. Okay. And so if I isolate these guys, you can see they're open now because that's what we created. That's how the geometry is. And this is not going to work with Bullet Solver. It's not going to be able to behave to simulate the correct behavior for this guy. And so what we need to do is we need to fix the geometry, and the way we're going to do that is using a polycap node. And this is actually a very useful node. It tries to connect where it thinks there is holes, and I think this is pretty good for what we gave it. I mean, if you look at the original result in this, the input in this, it did a great job of filling the gaps of the open geometry. And so now this is something we can use with Bullet. And so the other thing I want to do is VDB from Polygon. I want to convert these guys to a volume, and I'm going to change the viewport to dark so we can see them. We can increase the volume resolution if you want to, and I'm going to scatter some points. I don't need to increase it, and I'm going to scatter 100 points. Okay, and I'm going to put down a Voronoi fracture. And so if I click visualize pieces, I don't see the thing. That's because we have this color attribute. So I'm gonna put down an attribute delete. I'm gonna delete the CD so we can override it here. Cool. So now we have these fractured parts. It's a small scale part of the scene, and with all the other stuff, I think this is gonna work fine. Also, I'm not gonna go super crazy with the details because we're still going to be doing live tests and stuff. So yeah, keep that in mind. The other one I'm going to fracture. Well, I'm gonna fracture all of them, but basically what I'm going to do is from now on is copy this guy and then change it. And the next group that I know, you guys can investigate the mesh, or based on whatever you have, you can check all the groups. Also, they're all defined here, so if you travel through this, you'll find various group nodes. I'll colorize them in the final scene so you can find them easier. And so I'm going to isolate the bricks. I have groups called bricks. And so if I view the bricks, yep. So the bricks have the same issue as well. They have these opening. Okay. Well, anything that is resulting from that split is going to have an opening, and so we have to make sure that everything is tight and closed. So VDB polycap, VDB from Polygon, same as before, and then I'm gonna scatter some points, 100 as well, and I'm gonna break them to add more details to the breaks. The brick doesn't tend to break in general, but it's fine. I'm just testing things at this point. In reality, I mean, it's hard to break a brick even if you destroy the building. And generally, when you have any kind of interaction with the building, it's hard to break the bricks. And then let's see what else. I have the arch wall. These guys. So I'm gonna copy the same setup here, and I'm going to connect it, and maybe well, let's give it more points, because I think this is a huge piece of the cathedral, and we're gonna give it more details. Okay, and so I'm going to continue doing that for all the pieces. There is nothing magic about this. I'm gonna basically be putting a VDB from Polygon to the various geometry with the polycap to make sure that I cap any open geometry. Let me show you. So this is how it was before. Okay, I don't know if you guys can see it, but basically with the polycap there's this face added, and you have to make sure that that's the case in your geometry as well. So I'm gonna copy this. I have a few other groups, the pillars, the rooftop. The rooftop has a few things, and then I'm gonna set these up, and I'm gonna come back and we're gonna look at the wood fracturing, because this is a tricky problem. So I'm gonna show you guys how we're gonna tackle that problem. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next video. Bye bye.